Hello, my name is Chaz Ebert from the United States. I wanted to, you say the film is not, I know it's satirical, not remotely political, you say, except, Guy, in your mind, I want to know why the American president was speaking like an old English colonial, and also why the sexy, romantic Canadian was seemingly saying all the right things, yet you gave lines that he really wasn't in favor of strong women. And when he was saying all the right things about finding, when the bog creature came up, he seduced them with his speech, but then he was the one who threw the stick. There must be some political undertones under there for those two things.
Well, thanks for that question, Chaz. Was it for me, that question? Yeah, hi, nice to see you. Well, the idea of having the American president speak with an inexplicable British accent was one of the first ideas we had in the writer's room, and it's the one that never went away. It was just something we didn't even discuss among ourselves. It just felt right, and it was one irreducible fact that was our best idea. and so we went around, when we started to think about who could play this role, we wanted someone who could be the most presidential and yet the most British actor possible, and that's Charles Dance, who's more presidential than Charles Dance. There he is, look at him. And then, but who's more British? And so there he is. So he is the incarnation of this idea, this, I guess, surrealist idea that would be, for me, we never talked about it, the creators on either side of me, but for me it was almost, I rationalized it. I perhaps shouldn't say this, but it was almost like a what if the Revolutionary War went the other way or something like that. Just that it was just stayed a colony almost. That was what I liked to think about, but I just thought it would be out there for people to try to figure out, to think politically, or it was just there as bait.
Or what if America became so conservative that they became a colony again?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, every time Charles would ask us, why am I speaking with a British accent, we give him a different answer.
His head was spinning.
That's the first time you've given me a cogent answer.
Yeah, well, we sort of had to now. And I don't know, as far as giving our Canadian Prime Minister, as played so sexily by Roy Dupuis, we felt, all the leaders, especially I guess in Australia and in Canada for sure, there's all these apologies to Aboriginal First Nations groups that are meant often, they're virtue signaling at worst, and I guess, and a bunch of other things. But it just, the idea of just saying just enough to get away from them seemed about right. Probably over-explaining that.
No, I think it's something worth explaining, that one.
Yeah.
Because we don't want that misinterpreted.
Or to hurt anybody.
Canadian politicians do disingenuous apologies frequently, and that just seemed like a great dramatization of what they often will do. Apologizing for large things, apologizing for genocide and huge colonial crimes, and then saying, okay, well, apology done, bye.
Yeah, and it's the government figures that call it the truth and reconciliation. It's not necessarily named. It's not a name that's been agreed upon by everybody. As if, okay, I'm calling it. It's like in a marital spat where you say, well, I apologized already. Settle down. Like quit being so angry. And so it seemed like it was our chance to show how politicians talk. So it's political, but it's not sitting anywhere on the spectrum. It's neither far, none of the ideologies of the seven leaders are revealed in the movie, nor do they come up in discussions. I actually found that once I was the guest at some sort of gang interview involving American and Canadian politicians and some artists once, somewhere in New York. Keith Morrison was interviewing all of us governors, senators, members of the Canadian Parliament, and a couple filmmakers. And then we all went out for dinner afterwards, and regardless of where we sat politically, everyone was just teasing each other. There was some guy from our far right-wing Reform Party who had funded his campaign by selling his semen. And people were just teasing him about that. And he was a little bit abashed, but then came back with a quip for the, but it wasn't that going for the juggler that you see in partisan politics on television, you know. So I don't know how much you can get for your semen anyway. But pretty flimsy, yeah, pretty flimsy campaign.
Here we go.
We financed this film in part.
So, you know, if anyone wants to ask any questions about, you know, funding streams for Guy's films, we got a lot of ideas.
Called funding
Ready to
streams for a
go.
reason.